All right, we're back here another week. We're going through everything. We've talked about squatting, deadlifting, push-ups, rolling push-ups, pressing. This week we're on to kettlebell swings. I got my kettlebell here, and I'm really excited for this video because especially in the endurance world, this is one of those implements that's definitely matriculated in. People are excited about kettlebells. You see them a lot of different gyms and people are swinging all the time. Now, I want to talk about our kettlebell swing in the context of the squatting and the deadlifting that we've done in the past. And what that means is that we need a good solid foundation on squat mechanics and on deadlift mechanics to really understand this thing. And this will help kind of answer a lot of questions that I've sort of gotten in the past. I've had someone try to explain to me the difference between a mountain bike kettlebell swing versus a CrossFit kettlebell swing. I've also seen a lot of kettlebell swings that look a little too squat-like. We'll get to that in a second. So we have our implement. We're going to go through this thing together, and let's get started. So for starters here, let's just go through the range of motion of this thing. Now remember when we were deadlifting, we talked about starting up top. I'll put this down for a second. We talked about putting our hands on our thighs. And we say, hey, the first part of that kettlebell, or first part of that deadlift, I push my hips back aggressively to my hands just past my knees, and then I stand up. My back is nice and straight, and in fact, I'm not leaning forward at the back at all. I'm just pushing my hips behind me, and that cants me forward. So I'm not bending at the back. It's my hips go back. That bends me forward to about knee here, and then up tall. That is the range of motion for my kettlebell swing, and when you notice this, look at my shins. When I go through, they stay pretty darn vertical. In other words, I'm not going down like this. I'm not letting those knees bend first or those shins go forward. So I've got my kettlebell here. Because of this thing's a little awkward, I'm going to go for a little wider stance, something shoulder width. So once I'm here, yep, you can see my shoulder width stance right there. Once I'm here, I'm going to start to go through this range of motion. So I push my hips back till this kettlebell is just about knee height or so, back up tall. Back down here, chin's nice and neutral, back up tall. Now to get this thing swinging, I need to use my hips. I want to make sure that I'm not yanking this thing up with my arms and my shoulders. I want to start to what I call catch and release this kettlebell with my hips. And then I can use my hips to drive this thing a little bit higher. I like the kettlebell swing because it takes our slower motion movements, our squats and our deadlifts. I sometimes call that weighted Pilates. We want the same control with everything, but all of a sudden we've got a whole bunch of weight on it. We're now adding some speed to the equation. How powerfully can I fire those hips? And at first it takes a little while to practice this one. Sometimes we're a little slow with our hips, and we're a little off rhythm. So we go down, up, and then the kettlebell sort of not where we want it to be. So we want to be quick. And I literally say it out loud. I'm going to catch, release, catch, release, catch, release. That helps cue me to fire those hips nice and quickly. So kettlebell swinging, range of motion is about here to here. I'm keeping that back nice and straight. I'm firing my hips nice and quick. I'm starting to pull this guy up. Range of motion, I can start going about this height. I could even go overhead. And this leads me to the last piece. I want to say when I finish with my kettlebell, I want to finish as tightly connected here and here. The same thing that happened when we talked about running and our double unders. When we go up top, this kettlebell feels a little weightless. We get a little soft. And when I get a little soft in the kettlebell, my butt's not squeezed, pelvis is not stable, and all of a sudden that rib cage lifts up a little bit. When I come back down, I'm in this arched, overextended shape. No good. So just like our double unders, we talked about pushing through, staying tight and connected all the way through. With my kettlebell swing, the same thing. So when I make a big swing, I gotta be really tight. Keeping my belly and butt squeezed as best as I can. That's going to be a running shape. So there you have it, kettlebell swings. Try them out. We'll catch you next week.